Update. I, 27 female, am falling for my sister's 26 female ex 26 male. Would it be unreasonable to date him? Original post. So I'm in a pretty complicated situation. My sister Amy was dating Paul for 2.5 years, from when she was 22 to 24. I wasn't too close with him, but we got along. Well, unfortunately, he cheated with her best friend, and this hurt my sister a lot. I was angry and hurt that he would do that to my sister. My sister became depressed and still has trust issues to the point she's scared to date. Recently, I went on a cruise with my friend and her boyfriend, third wheeling. He saw me on the bar at the pool. He said hi, and I was very cold to him. I told him about himself, and to my surprise, he accepted accountability. He told me the guilt he feels to this day, and he's matured over the years. I decided to let bygones be bygones, and him and I started hanging out as we were both third wheeling. We did excursions, shopping, etc. I didn't realize how strong our chemistry was. One night, we both had a drunken mishap and hooked up. After that, the cat was out the bag and we hooked up a couple times. When I got back, him and I had been texting, and we are considering taking things more serious. I haven't talked to my sister about it, but I can tell she's changed and a better person. Plus, it's been a couple years. Now for the top comments before reading the update. This is a disaster just waiting to happen. OP just destroyed her relationship with her sister for the sister's scumbag ex-boyfriend. Hope the sex was worth it. My sister is my world. If she did this to me, I would cut her out of my life completely. Do you have no respect for her? The pain she went through? You want to throw that all away for some guy that is a renowned cheater? Wow. I hate my sister, and still I would never do something so horrific. Right, but he's changed, she said. Well, if he's changed, why is he trying to get with his ex's sister? This half is selfish. Wait until her sister finds out. And then this broad won't understand what she did wrong. Wow, just wow. She fell right into this guy's hands and doesn't even realize it. Please update us when he cheats on you and your sister goes no contact on you. Now for the update. I decided to give him a chance. Well, he's still a disgusting cheater. A few weeks ago, I decided to tell my sister what happened and what we were planning. She didn't take it well at all and has blocked me and said I'm dead to her. That broke my heart, but I was optimistic that as she continued to heal from the breakup and find someone new, she would get over it. Perhaps even learn to be happy for me. When I was over his place last night, I noticed a bonnet. It was not mine, and I don't wear bonnets usually. That raised my suspicion. I didn't say anything and waited for him to fall asleep. I used the Face ID to unlock it when he was sleeping. I went through his phone, and it was bad. I woke him up and told him he's a disgusting person. I've never felt so alone. I haven't even told my sister yet, but I want her to know that I fell for his lies and that I'm sorry. I'm guessing you're feeling pretty dumb for defending him so hard in your last post and for throwing your relationship with your sister into the garburator. Yeah, the only thing I can do now is take full responsibility for my actions and pony up an apology. It's sad, because what he did is exactly why people are afraid to give others second chances. Right, that's perfect. You weren't betraying your little sister. You were being a good person and giving the ex who cheated on her with her best friend a second chance behind her back. You just started talking to him and then hanging out with him and then banging him and then dating him behind her back by mistake. Whoopsies. How could you have possibly known this would hurt her feelings or that he would be cheating on you next? The important thing for her right now is that you need her to accept your apology and start feeling sad for you even though she doesn't want to talk to you. Her wishes are, as you have already established, less important than yours. Now that you're a victim too, same as her, and because you were just being a good person behind her back by mistake anyway, she can go ahead and get over it. What responsibility do you feel like you're taking? Try some therapy before you try apologizing. I hope you understand that you don't love your sister, and she would probably be better off without you in her life. Perfectly said. I cannot for the life of me understand the 181 people who upvoted that ridiculous attempt to paint herself not only as the victim but as a saintly one at that. Oh, look at a sister of mercy over here, sacrificing herself on the altar of second chances. Get the heck out of here, Opie. You are not the victim. I hope your sister cuts you out of her life before you find any new fresh hells to throw at her, because you just feel such a strong connection. Gross. You're gross. Edit. It's now 315 people. Jesus Christ, Reddit. As many posts like this one are on here, the upvotes are probably those who slept with her siblings/cousins/daughter's boyfriend, if I had to guess. You were not sorry when you went after the person who betrayed her. You did not even consider your sister's feelings, even after everyone here told you how crappy it was to pursue her ex. You were not sorry after you told her and broke her heart again. I cannot imagine how she felt knowing her own sister could do this to her, but instead thought she would get over it and learn to be happy for you. You're not sorry you hurt her. You are lamenting because you got hurt. Leave your sister alone. She doesn't deserve such a treacherous person in her life. You, on the other hand, more than deserve feeling alone. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my sister-in-law at my wedding and telling her no one cares that she is pregnant? Original post. My husband, 30 male, and I, 26 female, got married during COVID. We couldn't have a big ceremony because of restrictions, and unfortunately my family couldn't be present as they live in a different country. With restrictions finally lifted, we decided to have a more traditional ceremony in my home country with my family. My husband's family came, his parents, some friends, cousins, and his sister, 32 female, we'll call Sarah, and her husband, 28 male, we'll call him Matt. Sarah and Matt live on the other side of the US than the rest of the family. They had their wedding a couple of months back in their home state, and ever since then when we have a conversation, even without our wedding coming up, Sarah would say that she and Matt are planning to get pregnant on the trip for my husband and I's wedding. No big deal. I just made sure to tell her that she needs to ovulate for that to happen, but other than that, I could not care less. What started to get annoying is when we were talking about all the activities/excursions people wanted to do, so I could go ahead and book it. Sarah would always say, make sure there's enough time for Matt and I at the hotel so we can get busy making our baby. Again, kind of gross. A little annoying, but whatever. They're grown-ups. About a week before we all leave to go to my home country, Sarah and Matt arrive in our home state to spend some time with family, as they rarely see them. My husband and I, his parents, and my husband's brother and sister-in-law are sitting chatting when Sarah blurts out she's pregnant. We all get really excited, congratulate them, and saying how happy we are. We start asking some questions, and Sarah says she's 2 weeks pregnant. Everyone kind of loses a little bit of excitement and say, wow, that's really early. We suggest to wait before telling other people, just as a lot can happen. People usually don't even know they are pregnant until at least 6 weeks, and even then they are encouraged to wait until after the first trimester to tell people. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law were very happy and excited for them, but cautioned them even more as they have experienced multiple miscarriages before having their first child. Matt replied by saying they're only telling the people closest to them, like his parents, her parents and her siblings. No one else, since it is so early. Well, the next day, Sarah had called her great-uncle and his wife over for drinks and decided to tell them too. Called her one aunt and uncle and told them, and by the end of the day basically the entire extended family knew. As well as some of her mom's friends, which stopped by the house and Sarah told. With each person Sarah told, Matt got more agitated, as they had agreed to only tell a select few people. Matt finally gave up and asked her why she doesn't just post it on Facebook as it will be quicker, to which she replied she wants to, but she thinks it will be frowned upon. My husband came to me and said it feels like she is trying to draw the attention away from us at our wedding, as she is known to do anything and everything to have the spotlight on her. I said to not worry about it, as when we are in my home country, she isn't going to know many people, so she won't say anything. He agreed, but went to his parents and told them what he was feeling, and asked if they could politely suggest that she keep it to herself when we left for the trip. They agreed that it was valid for him to feel that way, as they know she hates it if the focus is not on her. Anyway, we leave for the wedding and I see my mom for the second time in 5 years. Obviously, it was a very emotional reunion, but we wiped off our tears quickly and sat down for a meal with my husband's family. After I introduced her to everyone, the waiter take our order, and the first thing Sarah says to my mom is, "Your daughter probably already told you, but I won't be drinking this trip." My mom says that is no problem. You don't have to drink to have fun, and that Sarah will still have fun, even if she chooses not to drink. Sarah interrupts my mom to tell her it's not by choice that she's not drinking, but that she's pregnant. Keep in mind, this is 10 minutes after she met my mom. My mom says congratulations and keeps on with another conversation. Sarah interrupts my mom again and tells her how she's 2 weeks pregnant and just so excited. My mom, who is in medicine, then tells Sarah the same thing we did, that she should probably wait until she's in her 2nd trimester to tell people. And Sarah completely ignores her. The same thing happens with my aunts, cousins, uncles, sister, and grandparents, all of whom she had never met before. My husband yet again speaks to his parents and asks them to please tell her to keep it private, because it feels as though she's purposely trying to make the attention away from our wedding. They say they will talk to her. Matt actually comes up to us and apologizes by saying he agrees that it has gotten out of hand and that the number of people that know is way more than the number they agreed upon. Fast forward, we are sitting eating while we wait for one of our excursions. A family that I lived with for 3 when I first moved to my husband's country flew out for the wedding and met up with us for lunch. They have never met my sister-in-law. The wife and I are talking about the wedding and all the arrangements, while my sister-in-law sits across from us and listens to the conversation. My husband orders some shots for everyone at the table when his mom says she doesn't want one, so he tells the server -1. My sister-in-law hears him ordering the shots and goes off yelling across the table. "I can't drink alcohol. You know I can't drink a shot. Why would you order me one?" Everyone kind of stops and looks at her for a sec, before my husband says it's not a problem, as Matt said he wants to. Everyone then continues their conversation, including the wife and I. My sister-in-law interrupts me and continues to make a big fuss over how my husband ordered her alcohol when he knows she's not drinking. The wife then says it's okay because Matt said he'll drink it, so it's not going to waste. My sister-in-law then says again how annoying it is that my husband ordered her a shot, and I say to not worry about, because I'll just drink it if Matt doesn't want it. She keeps doing this till I finally tell the wife that she's not drinking because she's pregnant. The wife says congratulations and asks how far she is, and then also tells her to be careful of telling too many people. The situation happens about 3 more times in the week leading up to the wedding. Now, this is why I might be the a-hole. The last time it happened, she was telling my high school friends at the wedding how sick she has been, but no one asked why she was sick. They were just empathetic and saying they hope she feels better. They came over to me to talk to me, and she followed again complaining about how sick she has been and kind of pushing them to ask why she has been feeling so sick. When I finally said, "Sarah, are you freaking kidding me? No one cares that you're pregnant. They don't even know you." Sarah ran off crying, and my mother-in-law heard me say that and told my father-in-law, who screamed at my husband, saying how we hurt Sarah's feelings and how she's just excited. My husband doesn't think I did anything wrong, and my high school friends think I was fine too, because they know the backstory. My mom and some of my husband's family think I was the a-hole. So am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that no one cares that she's pregnant? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. How many times does she need talked to? She was trying to be a center of attention by her words. If you want to be more petty, every time she walks into a room, just say, "Can I have everyone's attention?" My sister-in-law is pregnant, so let's get that elephant out of the room so she doesn't try to be the main character like she has been. I bet you'll hear a pin drop, and she runs off and cries again. That is brilliant, haha. You should also make bingo cards in how many ways she'll try to tell/remind people she's pregnant. Winner gets a baby-shaped cake. Sarah doesn't sound mature enough to have a child. I'm having a hard time believing there even will be a child. Hey, I had a sister-in-law who had a miscarriage every month. After the 2nd or 3rd one, I forgot which, I said to my mother, "Oh, so she got her period. Big whoops." Seriously, she would call my mother and tell her she was X number of days pregnant, not even weeks. And this was back before home tests, back in the mid-70s. Yeah, I have a sister-in-law like that. She announced her pregnancy at my wedding, was supposedly 4 weeks, and then had a miscarriage about a week later. Although I know that a miscarriage is sad for anyone, it was hard to feel much sympathy in this case, considering she basically just had a period. Now for the update. My husband and I finally had our honeymoon, and we were unreachable during our holiday because we were out of the country. Our whole family knew this before we left, and we told them the only way to reach us in emergency was to call the hotel. We knew Sarah was going in for her appointment while we were away, and we told her we would call her as soon as we got back home. My husband and I was out one day for the whole day from the hotel doing activities. And when we got back, we found a note in our room to say we have to go to reception. Once we got to reception, the person told us we had 7 missed calls from family and gave us a number to call. We didn't know who called or what about, but we thought it was an emergency. We called the number and it was Matt. He was very confused and asked why we were calling him on our honeymoon and asked if we were okay. We said that the hotel said this number called 7 times and asked him if everything was okay. Matt said everything was fine, but Sarah wanted to talk to us. Matt called Sarah over and she asked us how we were having fun, etc. But we just wanted to know what was going on because we were so worried. Sarah said she went to the doctor and got some news. We asked her if everything was okay because she kept not saying anything and we could hear her and Matt whisper to each other. We heard Matt say to her, "Did you seriously call the hotel 7 times to tell them this? It could have waited." Sarah finally gets back on the phone and said that the doctor said she was going to have twins. We said congratulations and asked if there was anything else. We thought it was an emergency. She said no. She just wanted to share the news because she's so excited and scared, and she couldn't hold it in. She said she also called my mom and told her. They are friends in social media. My husband and I both just said we were very happy for them, but really didn't want to be bothered again if it was not an emergency. Sarah said we were being very rude, and she just wanted to share the good news. We hung up because we had to get ready for dinner. When we got back into the US, my in-laws picked us up from the airport and were asking us if we spoke to Sarah. We said yes. She said she was having twins and we were very excited for them. My father-in-law then said Sarah told them we were extremely rude to her and Matt, and we were dismissive and hung up the phone. We told them what really happened, and they said that is not what Sarah's told the whole family. We are now back in our house and haven't spoken to Sarah or Matt. But Matt texted us both, but the text only came through later, where he said he was so sorry that they bothered us on our vacation and it felt horrible. We just texted back and said all good, and that we were very excited for both of them. All I can say about this whole situation is that I am very happy that we live on the other side of the country from Sarah. She sounds exhausting and insufferable. Poor Matt, still unsure how she went from 2 weeks pregnant to finding out she's having twins. The OP is 9 days old, so Sarah's 3 weeks pregnant. I'm calling BS on the twins. An ultrasound won't show any visible activity at 3 weeks, let alone twins. The egg will have only just finished implanting. Either this is some well-written troll bait or Sarah really is trying to steal the limelight. Telling factor would be if Matt went with her to the appointment where she found out about the twins. An OB generally won't even see you until 6 weeks minimum, since that's when you'll start seeing activity on an ultrasound. If it's real, Sarah is a big fan of attention. Did your brother go with her to the doctor? Did he see the ultrasound? For some reason, women who fake pregnancies often claim they're having twins. Now, that isn't a super likely scenario, but this woman sounds pathologically desperate for attention. I probably have watched too many Dr. Phil episodes on women who fake pregnancies, but I'd reverse image search any ultrasound pictures she sends/posts. I think Matt went with yes. When we got back to the US, she sent us a picture of the ultrasound. I'm not a doctor or in the medical field at all, but it looked like 2 babies to me. Reverse image search that ultrasound. Thank you. After I spoke to my mother-in-law, she confirmed that Sarah miscalculated how far along she was, and that she is actually closer to 8 to 9 weeks now. She had her first ultrasound at her doctor and then said she was having twins and she sent me the picture. I still wonder if she's actually pregnant or if we're going to see some lifetime story about Matt and Sarah, because this is beyond strange. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-wife's fiancé the truth about our divorce? My 33 male ex-wife, 30 female, and I got divorced 3 years ago. In college, we worked at the same restaurant. That's where we met. We were together for 7 years and married for a little over 3.5. We divorced because she cheated, twice. 2 years into our marriage, I discover she's having an affair with a former classmate. I collect enough evidence and confront her. She confesses everything. The affair was about 2 months long. This was a really terrible time and was really hard to work through with her. You can call me an idiot, but I'm a forgiving person. I do believe in second chances and that people can change. We agreed to reconcile. We did the work. We had marriage counseling. We read some of the books. She went no contact with classmates right away. Open phone policy. We told our parents. She was doing the right things and our relationship was recovering. 1 year into our reconciliation, her aunt dies. I am very busy with work and cannot attend the services, as they are on Thursday and Friday back in her hometown 5 hours away. Her parents and brother no longer live there, so she stayed with a good friend from high school. I had met this friend a few times and was comfortable with that. On Saturday morning, my wife texted me that the car was loaded and she was about to start making the drive home. About an hour after that, I got a Facebook message from the friend, who stated she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she just let this go, but informed me that my wife had gone out Friday night with some old friends from high school. The friend thought nothing of this until she discovered my wife had left her phone behind and that she didn't come back until the following morning. I had gotten a text that Friday night from my wife that she was going to bed early since the past few days had been emotionally draining. I confronted my wife as soon as she got home. She was really hesitant to tell me anything, so I lied to her and told her that if we were going to work through this, I needed to know everything like the last time. That got her to confess that she had gone out and had gone home with an old friend from high school. She said they didn't have sex, but did do stuff that I won't go into detail about here. It didn't matter. Once I got enough of the truth, I left for my parents' house. That week, my dad called my landlord and paid all the termination fees and got me out of the lease. We went and got my stuff while she was at work. My parents then set me up with a friend of theirs that was a divorce attorney and he cut me a deal. Took about 7 months for divorce to go final. That was 3 years ago. I have an awesome girlfriend and I'm doing well. This past weekend, I got a Facebook message from a guy who is now engaged to my ex-wife. He introduced himself and said he was probably just being crazy, but he wanted to know why we had gotten divorced. He said he had broached the subject a few times, and she always gets weird. She had told him we had divorced because we grew apart, but mostly she just deflects, or is really vague. I told him the truth and offered evidence if he would like. He declined and thanked me for my time and story. A day later, I get a phone call from a local but unknown number. I answer and it's my ex-wife. She is really upset at asking me why I'm trying to ruin her future. I get her to come down and talk. She says her fiancé has asked for some space and is staying with his parents this week. That he is saying he needs to reevaluate their relationship. She wants to know why I told him all about our past and why I'm still punishing her. She tells me she's not that person anymore and has done all this work and been in therapy. That she deserves another chance and I'm being petty and hateful. There were a few generic insults thrown. I got a little mad and told her if she really changed for the better, she would have been upfront with him about her/our past and owned up to cheating in her prior marriage. And then gone about showing her fiancé that she was ready to be a worthy partner to him and like she was with me. Instead, she tried to lie and hide the truth, and now it's blowing up in her face again. She said a few choice words and hung up. I haven't heard anything since. I told my girlfriend and she reassured how I handled it. But I find myself feeling guilty. I still believe in second chances and that people can change. While I would have felt wrong lying to the guy, I wonder if I should have handled the whole thing differently or just not responded. If she is truly different and this is just a blip, I don't want to be the thing that prevents her from finding happiness, but also believe I'm not what's hurting her engagement. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He wouldn't have reached out if he didn't see any red flags. I think this is the answer. There is a reason he sought OP out. He clearly had concerns about the relationship. OP, I don't think you're in the wrong. I think your response to both your ex and her fiancé were correct. Hopefully, your ex will learn to truly do the work and find a way to be honest with her current fiancé or future relationships if this one decides he can't stick with her. Not a-hole. Yes, exactly. Also, if she had changed, she would have been honest about it. But instead, she was cagey and lying, which is the exact same behavior as when she cheated. So no, she isn't a different person. She hasn't changed in one iota. Not a-hole. I'm like you. I would feel guilty because at a glance, it seems like being honest about your experience caused your ex to potentially lose your relationship. However, you are holding yourself accountable for someone else's actions. Your ex cheated. Your ex withheld information from her current partner. Your ex is still avoiding accountability. You are not responsible for her actions. Anything that happens in her relationship is her problem, not yours. Thank you for this. I got to remind myself of that. I hate causing others pain, so I'm glad to hear from someone who can relate. She made choices. You simply answered the question honestly. Dude deserves the facts. Focus on him, not her. Her actions then and now caused her pain, not you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not willing my house to my girlfriend after she put her house up for sale when moving in with me? I, male 53, was married for 20 years, and my wife passed away 4 years ago. We had no children, so many years ago we both did our wills. In our wills, we gave each other everything, and if we both died, then everything would go to my wife's nieces and nephews. I have no living relatives. One of the reasons I did this was because my wife's parents had some money, and my wife inherited several $1,000,000 from them. One of the things we did with her inheritance was we bought our dream house. It's a big house, about 4,500 square feet, and has a 1,500 square foot garage out in the country. About a year ago, I met Samantha, 55 female. She has her own house, but she would always come over to my house and spend the night. We got to talking, and I said she could move in with me. Samantha has a daughter who is 25 and asked if she could move in too. My basement is pretty big, with a small kitchen and a few extra bedrooms, etc., so I didn't mind. Samantha is in the process of selling her house, and she asked me if I would put in my will that she would get my house if I died. I told her, no, that was for my in-laws' money, and that should go all to my nieces and nephews as it says in my will. Samantha argues that if I die and she has no house, she will have no place to live. I told her, yeah, you get the money from the sale of your house, plus you won't have a mortgage payment. So take that money and put it in a money market account. I was pretty put off by this conversation because from my point of view, Samantha would have zero expenses and she could put all her money into savings, minus whatever she wants to buy herself. Not like she doesn't have a job. We got heated over this conversation and Samantha said that I was trying to control her with money. When she said that, I told her that maybe this relationship wasn't such a good idea. So am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. I would tell Samantha that you aren't being controlling, you aren't asking for any of her money, and you ask that she does the same of you. If this is a problem, then she shouldn't sell her house and live with you. You are just setting the expectation that your house will go to your late wife's family. Samantha should not sell her house honestly. If I were in her shoes, I would turn it into a rental property or let the daughter live there for at least a year before selling. This OP. Girlfriend needs to keep her house and rent it to her daughter or another tenant. She is in no way entitled to inherit a house purchased with money belonging to your deceased wife and her family, which she wanted left to them at OP's passing. You may or may not be surprised to know how often this scenario sets up this way. I'm actually surprised your wife's attorney didn't insist upon making sure your joint wills didn't set in stone as soon as she passed. My parents did their wills that way after watching multiple second wives of friends inherit all of the first wife's estates, cutting out the first wife's children entirely. My friend's dad remarried after her mom died. Her parents had an agreement that mom's half of everything would go to their kids. Her dad changed his will, so everything would go to the new wife, even her mom's jewelry. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he can't divorce me and still consider himself my daughter's stepdad? My 42 female 16-year-old daughter is not my husband's biological daughter. Her dad decided after I got pregnant that the mom of his child wasn't the woman he wanted to marry and is not in her life. It was just me and my daughter for the next 7 years until I married my husband. We had 3 kids in quick succession after we got married. They are now 8 male, 7 female, and 5 female. I recently found out I was pregnant and that has made my marriage worse. My daughter's dad first lived off of others giving him money to be an equestrian. He later, I found out, started getting hired as riding instructor / helped others take care of their horses. His inconsistent income / 1099 status was what he used to dodge his financial responsibilities. I started my daughter on this path as a hobby, but it was clear that she was talented. I would work a second job as a stable aide so that she could afford lessons, would drive other kids to and from lessons, and do other odd jobs to put towards her training expenses, until I married my husband and became a stay-at-home mom. My husband was very supportive of her pursuit until she entered high school. We were looking into possible future scholarships, which I understand are rare, to come out of her competing, or college with equestrian programs. My husband started lying about how my daughter did not want to do this, and how he loves her more than me because he understands her better. He embarrassed me by complaining about the other moms whose kids competed, saying they were snobs, or that he didn't want me to try to fit in with them or get their approval. Then he'd complain to parents about the new group lesson costs, etc. I found out I was pregnant and went with my daughter to an event and got too sick and tired to attend a school open house, and he flipped out on me when he came home. We got into a fight, and he told me that this isn't working out. I feel he says that to scare me, but I was not scared of divorce because I'm not going to grovel for his approval, and I can make it work without him. I told him I'll happily grant his divorce. He then says he wants joint custody of all the kids. I told him that legally he has no grounds with my daughter. He says she can still come to his place when he has the other kids, and I remind him she doesn't have a license and I don't owe him any agreement to drive her to his place. He screams, "She is my stepdaughter. I've been her dad." I told him he cannot just want to divorce his pregnant wife and get the benefits of that, including my general cooperation with his divorce, and still claim the title of my daughter's stepdad. He can't have his cake and eat it too. Legally, I am in the right, since I never adopted her. He does not want to support my 16-year-old's goals. With a divorce, he doesn't have the responsibility that being an equestrian parent entails. All her bills will be coming out of my account. But that means he cannot just continue to enjoy all the benefits of that without any of the responsibility. I don't think that's fair. I told my daughter that her stepdad wants a divorce because he absolutely hates paying for her lessons. Says they are making her into a snob like me and the other moms. She's a people pleaser, so should say yes to seeing him just to not hurt his feelings. But she has said that if he really hates her because she wants to be an equestrian, then she just wants to continue her passion. And it seems most conducive to do so where she's living with me and not seeing somebody who actively wants to stop her future dreams. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. It sounds like you're weaponizing your daughter because your husband wants a divorce. Has he actually said these things about her and her lessons? Something seems a bit off with the story. That's what I took away from this post. My daughter has an expensive hobby. My husband can't afford it, so I'm divorcing him and refuse to let him see the daughter he raised. To make it easier for her to hate him, I am blaming the divorce on my husband not wanting to support her. If you want to pay for your daughter so bad, then get a job to pay for her hobby, and stop blaming your husband to alienate him from your daughter. He raised her and he wants custody of her. Are you going to divorce him and tell your daughter, well, it looks like none of your fathers love you. At least your siblings have a father. I'm sure that will work out great for her well-being and mental health. Also, the message to the daughter, your hobby caused you to lose your stepdad. Super messed up. Even if it were true, I wouldn't tell a kid that. Does your daughter want him in her life still? And you told her that he wants to divorce you because of her lessons? Wow. Yeah, you're the a-hole for that alone. That is honestly the worst thing you could do in a divorce. I can't fathom a parent inflicting pain on their child to hurt their partner. Both the daughter and husband deserve so much better than Opie. She's literally treating her daughter like a personal vendetta tool. No consideration for ripping away the man she obviously seemed to have considered a father. Legally, he has no right? Get out of here. Truly Mother of the Year. And by the way, knowing the culture around horses, I am very liable to agree with the father's version of events. Last story. Am I the a-hole for resenting my wife for not believing my side of the story? I, male 46, have been married to my wife, Heather, female 45, for 18 years. We have 2 kids, 16 female and 14 male. We work for the same company, but in different departments. She works on a different floor of our building. We recently hired a new employee, Sarah, female 30. I helped her a lot with her training and even prepared a guide for her so she could catch up on the new role quickly. I told her she could drop by anytime if she had a question. She kept coming to my desk to chit-chat. Even my coworker Chris, who shares an office with me, noticed. I thought she was new and lonely, so not a big deal. She asked me to go out for lunch with her. I laughed and joked, asking if Chris wanted to join us for lunch. Then Sarah looked at me and said no. She meant just us to talk. Plus, she wanted to buy me lunch because I'd been so nice to her. Chris gave me a look. I told her she didn't have to and that I was just doing my job. She insisted and I agreed. During lunch, she started rubbing my hand. I moved my hand and changed the topic to my wife, bringing her up repeatedly. She eventually said she found me attractive and wanted to be more than friends, suggesting we start with friends with benefits and see where it goes. She said she thought I wasn't happy in my marriage because I was having lunch with her and laughing, while she never saw me having lunch with my wife. I told her I was married and wanted to keep our friendship professional. She didn't like my reply and became quiet. I apologized, but she said it was all good. I paid a bill for both of us since it was so awkward, and we went back to work. I received a letter from HR telling me they needed to talk to me because Sarah filed a complaint. She said I'd asked her out for lunch, been inappropriate and handsy, and even pressured her to sleep with me, but she left. I was floored. Luckily, my coworker Chris can confirm my side of the story. I immediately told my wife the whole thing and she got furious at me. She said she believed Sarah's side because she stands by the victim. I told her Sarah was lying. Chris can confirm she invited me. Also, I wasn't inappropriate. I didn't touch her and turn her down. My wife rolled her eyes and said Sarah is a gorgeous woman much younger than me, implying I took advantage of her. I was so annoyed. I've always been faithful to her. How could she possibly think of me like this? Luckily, the HR issue was resolved, and I just have to do some training. I asked to move to another team, so I won't be working with Sarah anymore. Am I the a-hole for resenting my wife for not believing my side? For taking her side without any proof? I basically barely talked to my wife since the incident. This will get lost in the sea of comments, but I'm wondering if the restaurant has a video recording of the dining area. You could prove you're telling the truth really quickly with a recording of her getting handsy and you pulling away. I'm gonna check with the restaurant. It's a small cafe/restaurant within walking distance of our office. Speaking of intel, I wonder what her behavior/performance was like at her previous jobs. The fact she pursued you and then reported false accusations to HR this quickly into a new job suggests a level of diabolical confidence in my opinion. A reckless immaturity, I guess. Regardless, something ain't right, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was some kind of MO for her. I don't know how you could safely investigate her past, but something to think about. Not the a-hole, obviously. This is just a perfect example of the double standard that men deal with in these types of situations. Your wife should know you well enough by now to know the truth. Several comments support exactly the conclusion you're reaching here. This type of lying/double standard can ruin someone's life so easily. It can, and it has. I'm a woman, and I think women who lie about things like this and destroy lives on a whim are one of the lowest forms of human scum. Not only is Opie a direct victim of this woman's reputation-ruining lies, but every woman who legitimately had something happen to her and was not believed is also an indirect victim. There should be harsh consequences for women that lie about assault. I understand why there isn't, but it's absolutely infuriating to see anyone do something like this and walk away from the wreckage with no repercussions.